Our apologies, took a little longer than we anticipated. Appreciate your time. I need a motion to approve the settlement of PTAB docket number 2334-520. I'm sorry. Clerk, can you take a roll? Roll call to reestablish. Clerk, call the roll for reconvening the board meeting.
Trustee Mosley,
Yes.
Trustee Brown, Trustee Hadnot,
Yes.
Trustee Rowe, Trustee Williams,
Aye.
Trustee Graham.
Yes. Thank you. Motion to approve the settlement of PTAB docket 2334-529 and approval of withdrawal appellate of PTAB docket number 2046-115 and 21-2897 and circuit court complaint 24 COTO 9482 and authorize the village attorney to execute any and all documents of the same.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Hadnot,
Yes.
Trustee Mosley,
Yes.
Trustee Rowe, Trustee Brown, Trustee Taylor, Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Motion passed. A motion to approve resolution number 25-06, a resolution authorizing intervention in proceedings before the state of property tax appeal board for the village of Glenwood County, Illinois. It goes with motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Williams,
Aye.
Trustee Brown,
Yeah.
Trustee Taylor,
Yes.
Trustee Rowe, Trustee Hadnot,
Yes.
Trustee Mosley.
Yes. Can I have, I need a motion to table number 4?
I'll make that motion.
I want to make a motion to postpone it to the July 1st, 2024 board meeting. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Trustee Hadnot,
Yes.
Trustee Rowe, Trustee Taylor,
Yes.
Trustee Williams,
Aye.
Trustee Brown,
Yes.
Trustee Mosley.
Yes. Motion to approve ordinance number 2025-04, ordinance amending chapter 74, planning, article 2, plan commission and appendix zoning code, section 13.06, zoning board of appeals, the village of Glen, code of ordinance regarding the composition, plan commission and zoning board of appeals.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Questions? Attorney Ross, can you break that down a little bit more in layman's terms?
Yes, of course. This ordinance makes it so, as background, the village's plan commission and zoning board of appeals currently have 9 separate individuals, or provided for by the ordinances. By 9 separate individuals, as by your ordinances. It's my understanding that significant vacancies on both of those boards. The idea is that this codifies what may already have happened, is that the composition of both those boards, while they are separate and distinct, They have different functions, they'll be staffed by the same members. So if you're appointed to the Plan Commission, you'll automatically then be part of the Zoning Board of Appeals, and we'll have 7 members on each of those boards to ensure that we can fill those vacancies and establish a quorum and get those bodies up and running in the way that they're supposed to. That's really all it does. There's no other major changes. Just tries to.
And Trustee Brown, just for historical data, that it was previously already that the joint commission, so this is just codifying it to be in compliance with the ordinance.
Okay, quick question. It says that the plan commission should be appointed for 3 years. Our term is 4. So in 3 years, or the people that are on the zoning right now and planning, does that count as time that they served already? Or what happens after 3 years?
After 3 years, it is assessed that can either, if no one else is available, they can continue or they roll off.
Okay, and I think I saw one more thing about compensation, that you or the board can decide if they are compensated. So if that is true, my question is, why would they be compensated and no other person on a committee?
That's
That's just in the previous
ordinance.
part of
The
the
previous one.
ordinance that the board can provide for compensation. Some municipalities do for planning and zoning boards. That's all.
That was before, so this time there is no compensation, or are we continuing possibly compensating?
At this time, there's no compensation.
There's not, but the ordinance is, it's still in there, but it's open, you don't have to.
Recording in progress.
Trustee Brown, it is the intent to revisit all of the ordinance to amend, update accordingly, and as we're getting the committees that were previously defunct back up and operating, we want to ensure that we have current ordinance that speak to the current language.
Yeah, I guess I'm just, I do know that. But I guess I'm a little confused when I see an old ordinance and we're gonna amend it, but I'm just reading the old. So I'm trying to figure out what the new part is, but we haven't quite done the new part because all the committees haven't met yet.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Trustee Mosley.
Yes.
Trustee Hadnot.
Yes.
Trustee Rowe.
Yes.
Trustee Taylor.
Yes.
Trustee Brown.
Yes.
Motion passed. A motion to appoint Howard Martin to the Finance Committee.
I'll second. City Week? Russ West.
Was there a second?
Yeah.
Clerk, any questions, clerk? Call the roll.
Trustee Mosley.
Yes.
Trustee Brown.
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Trustee Taylor.
Yes.
Trustee Rowe. Trustee Hadnot.
Yes.
Having been appointed to the Office of Finance Committee
Previously, the board, or the previous mayor had asked us to look at a feasibility study of replacing the silver conventional light poles along Main Street with decorative black ones. This has been tabled for some weeks, and it sounds like the new board might be amenable to moving forward with that project. So in your packet, I did give you some draft plans, an estimate, a schedule, if you wanted to move ahead with replacing those silver poles with black ones. So that would be 13 poles between Glenwood Oaks and Village Hall for a construction cost of $298,300.
Will there be a bid process?
Yes, this would be publicly bid advertised.
Is there any grant money available?
Not for replacing lights. No. If they were conventional lights, like HID, and we were converting to LED, there's grant money available, but these are already at the existing ones.
Okay, that's good. Have you considered a TIF expense as it could be a public work project?
That was the idea.
Any other questions?
How long will a project like this take?
I talked to the manufacturer of these poles, and all these decorative light poles are made to order. And unfortunately, it's 22 to 25 weeks from the time they're ordered to the time they're delivered. But the construction would be done in about a week. They would just unbolt the existing poles from the concrete foundations, and set the new ones in and wire them up. That would be till late fall, depending on when the light poles are.
Would it make sense to order some extra ones for Siding Halsted and our Coldwell Halsted?
If you have a place to store them, we do see a lot of communities that will do that when they have a light project. They'll have, an item for however many they want installed, and then a separate bid item for furnish only or furnishing only. So that's what was the direction of those we gave that.
Any other questions? Clerk, can you call the roll?
Trustee Mosley,
Yes.
Trustee Hadnot,
Yes.
Trustee Williams,
Yes.
Trustee Taylor,
No.
Trustee Rowe, Trustee Brown.
No.
Motion passed.
Just because we bid it, doesn't mean that you have to move forward.
Just a bid process.
I should have mentioned that. If you don't like the prices when they come in, it's all right.
Thank you. Now we have a presentation from her property foreclosure. You want to come up? Thank you for that.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Appreciate the opportunity to make a presentation regarding blighted properties that are foreclosed and vacant properties. It's been about 5 years since I last was before this board. Many old faces, some new ones, but I've got to say it's still moving along, just like most things. Well, I just wanted to know that I'm not sure everyone here knows. Previous company, ProChamps, filed bankruptcy in 2023. So you have not had any collection by a vendor enforcing the ordinance that's been in place since 2020, unless they've been doing it in-house. I searched your webpage page, I didn't see anywhere where if I was a bank and I issued foreclosure, I could register. So I don't know personally whether anyone in-house has been registered properties or not. That's not the issue right now, but just letting everybody know, to bring up newbies, for lack of better words, on the board, what was transpiring. Hare Property Registry does exactly the same thing, but in a little bit different format. We would actually go back to 2020, and any foreclosure that was issued at that point, or it was vacant at that point, we would attempt to secure a registration. I should also point out, which I pointed out in my email to the mayor, Hare is the only vendor that this community, or any of the 120 that we have nationally, will never get an invoice. You don't pay us. The older board members will realize it, and the finance department will realize you get a check every month. Your ordinance clearly states to register a property, you have to provide all kinds of information, like name, address, phone number, email, to the bank, to the property manager, to maintenance people that are all involved with that property. If you notice, I never mentioned anybody that lives in that property. We never, ever try to reach out to a property owner, because I think the mayor wants to get reelected again. It's not a good thing to send a bill to a resident. We do not put any burden on any resident. It's on the banks. The only time that you find individuals, a lot of times investors, private people, will buy property and rent them out. We don't go after, again, the people living in it building. We go after the person who's renting. Just to give you some brief background, in 2023, from January to May, when the pro champs filed bankruptcy, this village received over $20,000. I heard somebody in the audience talking about grass cutting and being painted blood, and it's ugly, and you can cut a lot of grass for $20,000. You can buy lawnmowers. And I'm sure, no offense to the chief, I know he's sitting over there to the left, you can buy some more guns and bullets and vests and all those kind of things. It's extra cash for your budget. So I did present an agreement to the mayor via email, and I'll drop one off with your administrator before I leave tonight. There is no need to change your ordinance, except I would personally recommend an amendment. Currently, going back, it's 5 years since you passed the ordinance. I think eggs have gone up, gas has gone up, taxes have gone up, everything's gone up. The average national for our 120 accounts is $400 semi-annually. The only one that's higher than that I know of is another South Suburban community, Robbins. They're at $525. The next one, Bolingbrook, they're at $500. But the national average is $400. Out of that $400 we collected, Harold will retain $125. Pro Champs used to retain $100. That was 5 years ago. As I say, everything is gone up. So that out of, let's say it still stays at 300, we keep 125. The village finance department will receive a check the following month for the balance. So it goes back to what I initially said. We will never send an invoice, but we will always send money in. And I would also, if any of the old or new trustees or the mayor or the administration would like to see a demonstration of our platform, I'd be happy to have a meeting one-on-one with the Open Meetings Act. So if you'd like to read that in the portfolio that I gave you, is my card, and reach out to me, we'll have a demonstration. Thinking positively that this is going to move forward. Every staff person, the administration, and the trustees who want to have access to it will have access to look up 123 Glenwood Lane. Who owns it? Oh, the bank in Nebraska. Oh, the grass hasn't been cut. Code enforcement does the right thing. They write a ticket. What do they do with the ticket? They hang it on the doorknob. Well, if I'm in foreclosure, I surely don't care about the grass. And if it's vacant, you just wasted your time writing a ticket and hanging it on the doorknob. Sometimes they come back to the city hall and they put it in an envelope and they mail it to the vacant property. Just more costly. What they should be doing is go to their little laptops, type in 123 Glenwood Lane, and they say, oh, the Bank of Nebraska. Send the ticket directly to them via an email. With the email, take a picture while you're at the house, attach the picture, and it's all on our platform. With that, I've taken up enough of your time. You had a long evening. Any questions from any of the board or administration?
Yes. Hello, Stan. Good to see you again.
Oh, only the good guy, huh?
Can we use your platform for commercial properties?
We do anything and everything that is a residential, commercial, whatever's in your ordinance, and in your ordinance, it is that way. In Linwood's, one of your neighbors, they even have trailer park homes.
Okay.
Because they've got a huge trailer park over there.
And how would you suggest that we best use your data for our operations? In other words, when we have, if we're seeing a increasing trend in foreclosures, as I am seeing personally, I've done more foreclosure appraisals this year than I did the previous cycle.
Right.
So I'm seeing an increase in foreclosures. So how can we use your data to kind of manage and prevent problems?
When I was a city manager or administrator in the South Dakota community, Bolton, I used to get phone calls from all over the United States. Where the hell is Bolton, they say. Who is this? Well, I'm the main representative out of Oklahoma, and I got a bill that I got to pay. Why do I have to pay this? Hold on. Water department, you got any bills outstanding for 123 South Plain? Oh, you got any outstanding bills? I got back on the phone. They said that $300 bill is now $2,850. I'll call you back. They call me back. What are you going to do about this? Well, would you take $1,500? No. Because the next issue is I'm going over to Marshall and I'm going to file a judgment against the property. Oh, I'll call you back. Now I got a lawyer. He said, the Bank of Chase in Oklahoma would like to donate that property to Dalton. It's up to your staff to be motivated to go back. On our platform, every day they can go on, they can see who paid, who registered, and who didn't. Enforcement in your ordinance. If they don't pay, there's late fees, charges, all that kind of good stuff. So there's all different kinds of ways. And what I did in Dalton, we had a motion to Public Works Department, the Fire Department, the Police Department. You can buy this house for $10, but you gotta live in it for 5 years before you move on. The thought process that I had in the mayor had was, when it's snowing, I don't wanna call somebody in Woodbridge, Public Works, to drive in 2 hours later, they live in the town. Same thing with the fire and the police. If it was a vacant property, and it needed to be bulldozed, mayor, pay attention. We bulldozed it, because at that time, I don't know if Cook County still has the SWAT program where they sent guys out to tear down houses and teach them a craft. I don't know if they still have that. They would tear it down. Now we got an empty lot. It's a 25-foot lot, standard. Mayor, go to Mr. and Mrs. Jones on the right side and tell them to donate 12.5 feet. But they could never, ever build on it. It's got to be green space or guess how many votes he got? Every vote in that house. And then he went on the other side and donated that property and created green space. So it's just up to your imagination what you want to do to take care of blighted properties. One more thing. Yes, foreclosures are on the rise. During COVID, our government prohibited foreclosures. You could file the papers, but you could not evict them. That expires in September of 2025. There's going to be, has anybody driven through any town and seen personal belongings down on the curb like they did 5 or 8 years ago? Nope. Well, it's coming back. Other questions?
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you all. Oh, and I guess, would this go on the next agenda? You think?
No, it's on the agenda to see what is the board's impressions.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I have a motion to approve, Harris property for the registry.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Clerk call the roll.
Trustee Taylor. Trustee Taylor.
Yes.
Trustee Williams. Trustee Brown.
Yes.
Trustee Rowe.
Yes.
Trustee Hadnot.
Yes.
Trustee Mosley.
Yes.
Village administrative report.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. I have a number of items to touch on briefly that do not appear on the agenda tonight. We'll go into a brief description of each of the items that are on the agenda before you tonight. But just want to give some updates on a few things that I know are probably on a lot of your minds and some that may not yet be on your minds. So with that, the first is the status of the roller rink. Over the last couple of weeks, I've had 2 different individual organizations reach out to us to inquire about the availability of the roller rink. The owners have since come into Village Hall and let us know that it is on the market. They are trying to sell it. Both of the potential new users that came in and discussed with us would be interested and would be looking to operate it as a roller rink again. One is a current owner of a roller rink elsewhere. One is a cooperative group of skating enthusiasts. Both of them are interested in acquiring that property and operating it as a roller rink again. So the more we learn on that, the further it moves along. If the building sells, I'll keep the board apprised of that. But I know the residents are asking about it. I've heard about it several times. Just sitting there listening to residents that come in. So wanted to let you all know that if you have residents asking you, you can give that update that there are people interested. The current owners are interested in selling. I believe it has been listed on the market. A quick update on Econ, Southland merger. Chief Edward and I attended meetings for both the current Econ board that we sit on, as well as the first joint meeting between of the new Southland Dispatch Board last week, which is made up of all of the Econ members and the current Southcon members. There's still a long way to go. The new board still needs to make some decisions on hiring and job descriptions and things like that. And the building is not done, the construction is not done on the building yet. The hope is that the new board will be fully constituted and moved into the building by the end of this year, which would then facilitate or we would no longer need to have the 2 separate boards, Econ and Southcon. The joint board would take over there. Recently received some communication from Chicago Southland Convention and Visitors Bureau. 6 times a year they open up tourism grants to municipalities, provide dollars and help municipalities with marketing of tourist attractions or things in the community. In order to qualify for these, you have to attend one of their grant seminars via Zoom. It takes about an hour and a half, and so I've signed up for the July 10th one in anticipation of the grants reward process opening up again in August. Late last week, I shared this with the board already, but I just wanted to reiterate it tonight. ComEd announced last week that starting July 1st, ComEd customers will see an increase on their monthly bill of approximately $10 a month. They were very clear to explain that the cost is not coming from ComEd, it's coming from their wholesale supplier that they buy electricity from. But in order to assist residents that are struggling to pay their utility bills now and going forward, ComEd's parent company Exelon has made available $10 million that will open on July 7th for qualifying ComEd customers. In order to qualify, you need to have a past due bill with ComEd. You also need to, your household income must be below 300% of the federal poverty level. If you meet those two qualifications, you will be eligible for a one-time grant of up to $500 to assist with the repayment of past due ComEd bills. Because we feel that this is a very important program to make the residents aware of, we will begin in beginning of July. We'll be putting the flyer from ComEd into the water list so that every one of our residents gets access to this information. We'll also post it on the village's website, social media pages, and I'll make sure that we'll have flyers here at Village Hall. I will make sure to pass along the flyer to all the board members who I haven't done that yet. I don't believe I have it when I sent my update on this last week around. Excuse me. As I'm sure everybody's seen, work has begun again at the levee project over on Archula Drive. We got communication from MWRT this week that the completion of the levee portion of that project will be sometime in the month of July likely. And so they have scheduled, in conjunction with the village, an official ribbon cutting ceremony. It will take place at 11 a.m. on August 25th. We would encourage all residents and trustees to come out. I believe President Carmichael will be there, several members of the board of the MWRD will be there. And I have a draft of a flyer that MWRD sent me this morning. I'm share with everybody final. Village beautification, one of the mayor's initiatives when she took office, and one of her challenges that she issued to myself, the Public Works Department, and the Fire Department, was to make sure that the village looks into top shape when we drive through. And so to that end, Public Works is undertaking several projects, including the cleanup of the welcome area at the Brookwood Point sign on Lincoln Road, the cleanup of overgrowth in the retention area on Paulston near the Manor neighborhood, and other general cleanup projects. In addition to this, the fire department has been out issuing notice to correct warnings to residents for tall grass and weeds, as well as other property maintenance violations like peeling paint, soffit fascia, and disrepair, and others. In order to keep our community clean, tidy, and welcoming, we need to make sure all residents are doing their part to maintain their property. The direction from Mayor Hart has been to enforce the ordinances we have in place to help achieve these goals. And so if you have noticed or are getting calls about an increase in notices to correct or citations for these issues, that would be why. I apologize. 4 more things, and I'll get to the guidance on the agenda. Last week, the mayor and I got to visit the facility that's under construction across the street from Public Works. It's going to be called Leading Truck Center. It is not a warehouse. It is a repair center and transfer station for a trucking company that currently exists elsewhere. The owners are a husband and wife. They were very nice and welcoming to us. While we were there, the mayor expressed concern to them that we don't want trucks coming through downtown. And so the owner was already aware that trucks are not permitted on certain sections of Main Street or under 87th Street, but he said he has informed all of his drivers that will be coming through there, and he has ordered already a big sign he's going to put up the exit of his property that says no right turns, and directing all of his drivers to go south towards Holbrook Road and to use Holbrook Road to get to Austin. So I know that truck traffic through the village has been a big concern, so I've heard a lot about it the first month here. So we want to make sure the board was aware that the mayor addressed that with this new company that's coming in. Yesterday, we had the opportunity to visit the Among Friends Daycare. In case you can't tell, the mayor and I have been busy trying to get to know all of the business owners in the village in about the shortest amount of time as possible. But it was really an amazing facility to tour. It was great to see the work that they do there. If you are not familiar with it, this is a facility that has currently 2 locations, one here in the village of Glenwood and one in Crestwood. They're opening a 3rd in Richmond Park. And it's a great resource for people that have seniors that need care during the day. You know, we think a lot about seniors that need care in the evening, people coming to the home and help them. This facility, they have, I believe they said 22 buses that travel throughout the Southland, pick up their participants, as they call them, bring them back to the facility. They feed them breakfast, they feed them lunch, they have activities, arts and crafts, bingo, different class type things that they can participate in, and then they bring them back home in the evening. And so if you have residents that reach out to you regarding that kind of a program, you can always refer them there, as well as the additional senior services available through Bloom Township. And then just as an aside, I've been trying to make it a priority to keep you all up to date with pertinent information in real time via email on any matter that I think is going to be a hot button issue, something that I think that residents might be reaching out to. So last week with the comment information, we got the information about 187th Street reopening. We're going to make sure that the board is kept up to speed on all those types of matters so that we're proactive and if residents come looking to you all for information, hopefully you've already got it from my office. As to the items on the agenda tonight, we had, obviously we had the program for the presentation from Europe already. The second item is the approval of the Toro agreements, and it should say not to exceed $31,312 over the course of the 5-year agreement. This is the agreement that the mayor emailed all of you about 2 weeks ago for the sprinkler system at Glenwood Golf Course. The item, do you want me to do my explanations on all of them, or do you want to have approvals on each one and have each of the explanations in between?
Yes.
Okay.
Too much paper.
So I just explained item number 3, which would be approval. We haven't taken up number 2 yet, which would be the Harris property foreclosure industry, and then I explained. Oh, you
did that. We did too.
So I'm just looking for a motion for approval of the Toro emergency agreement, Eglin Woody.
not to exceed $31,312 over the course of the 5 years.
I'll make that motion.
Any questions?
I can ask Bill a question. Bill, what happened?
So this is the central computer that controls the irrigation system, which was installed in 2001. So obviously 24 years old, it went. Because all the equipment is Toro related, we had to be exclusive, and this is the only option we had to move forward to replace that computer. The only other option would be if you would go out to bid, you would have to replace all your satellites on course for the irrigation control, which would far exceed the $31,000.
Thanks, Bill.
Any other questions? Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Hannah.
Yes.
Trustee Rowe. Yes. Trustee Taylor.
Yes.
Trustee Brown.
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Trustee Mosley.
Yes.
Motion passed. 4.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the agreement. It's an agreement with Catalyst. This agreement, so as part of my efforts to work with the mayor and help Glenwood put their best foot forward publicly, one of the early things that I identified that really needs some TLC is the village's website. I had conversations with numerous vendors that do municipal websites, including Catalyst, who is our current website provider. They gave me some background on, because I was initially inclined to look elsewhere because of the state of our current website, but I got some background information on how long it's actually been since the village has reached out to do a refresh on this. As part of my conversation with them, I found out that our current agreement ends expires in January of 2026, so it's coming up for expiration within the next 6 months, 7 months. The other vendors I spoke to all had prices in the range of between $5,000 a year plus an initial cost of $15,000 to $20,000 to do the website design. Catalyst, who currently has a lot of our information, granted it's not a lot that needs to be updated, said they would not charge us an initial fee to do the website redesign. They would want to extend enter into a new 4-year contract, which would start on July 1st of this year. The year 1 price on paper would be $3,500, and the year 2 through 4 prices would be a 6% increase each year. The difference being the year 1 price would come out to roughly $1,500 because we already paid them for this year as part of our prior agreement, so we would only be paying them the extension fee. So the total cost of this agreement $15,311.15. That's the all-in costs to get us a brand new website, and they did indicate that at the end of that 4 years, if we chose to extend that contract again, they would do a refresh update of the website for us at no cost as well. And so if this is, just for context, if this is approved tonight, the agreement will go into effect on July 1st, and they said it takes anywhere between 4 to 5 months to get the website up and live once they start the process, because they're going to build it over from scratch. And so we're going to have to submit a lot of information to them, as well as, kind of go through the process of making changes, adding it, and all those types of things. So this is something you will probably see live by the end of October.
A motion on the floor for approval of this agreement to overhaul the website.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any questions?
I have one question.
Yes.
Yeah. How long has it been?
It has the person the individual I spoke to has not had anybody reach out to them other than for the updates that, Carolyn does on a regular basis, but to totally remote website in the 5 years that he's been working.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, Trustee Brown, sorry, I can't see.
I'm sorry, will you finish?
Yes.
So I'm in sales, and this is a part of sales. So when we say that, I'm just trying to get a handle on it, so no one's reached out to them since it started in 2021? Is that for the last 5 years?
Yes, that was the information that was given to me. Because quite frankly, I started the conversation off with the rep at Catalyst fairly aggressively, because I had conversations with other companies already, and I said, look, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not happy at all with the way our website looks. I haven't found anything that is, and I want to find out why, and kind of led them to believe that we were looking to get out of the agreement. And he went through a history of, we've reached out to various members of the village over the years to see if they wanted to do a refresh, because like I said, they offer at the end of the year 4, do one for free. And he said nobody's ever got in touch to take them up on that. So,
Okay.
hearing that, I took a little bit of the blame back off of them and bumped
Yeah.
myself down.
That was my question. Did they ever reach out to the village?
Yes, according to the representative I talked to, they have.
Okay, and then my last question? Yeah, my last question, so the current contract ends in 2026.
Correct.
So we're not gonna, so is there any early termination fee for breaking that one and then starting a new one?
Nope, they're going to tear out the existing agreement, start the new 4-year agreement on July 1st, and then that's why the initial year 1 fee is only going to be, it's just shy of $1,500 we have already paid through the end of January as part of this current agreement.
And you have that in writing that they're gonna do away with the old and go with the new?
I do, I've got emails with the representative from there.
Alright. I have a question. Is this our only option? Are there other vendors?
No, there are several other vendors. I looked at vendors that specifically specialize in municipal websites, because there are certain federal regulations that municipal government websites have to have, as opposed to regular websites that have to be ADA accessible, things like that. So I spoke with 3 other vendors that specialize in this type of space. All of them were significantly more expensive on a year-to-year basis, and they all included at least a $15,000 initial cost just to design the website on top of the year-to-year contract prices. And looking at the examples provided by those companies compared to the examples of updated websites provided by Catalyst, this one here, nothing seemed overly different to me to justify the significant initial investment cost plus the additional higher year-to-year costs.
For me, I would just like to see options, a demo presentation, just to, compare to what we have now. If there are improvements in technology, where maybe it's worth paying the extra money to get an extra, I don't know, just for me, I'd like to see a little more.
I can certainly share with you the examples that were sent to me by the different companies. Like I said, I would not base what we're going to be getting on this project on what our website currently looks like. I don't know when it was initially designed, but none of the example or sample websites sent to me by Catalyst really resemble anything that we have right now. So it will be a total new, fresh, brand new website that will look like it was done in the year 2025.
I have a quick question. How does this, or maybe it doesn't, how does this company coincide with Heritage that we use as far as our computer system backup, et cetera? Because in here it's talked about nightly backups, so that's just for the computers, not for the hardware. Or are they?
No,
they're in conjunction?
They're totally separate. So the Heritage provides all of the hardware technology. The website, they host the website on their servers as Catalyst. They provide all the maintenance. They provide tech support. They will provide training for anybody that the village teams they want to have access to be able to update agendas, things like that. Too, but their work would not conflict with or coincide with anything that Heritage does.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Rowe. Trustee Taylor.
Abstain.
Trustee Hadnot.
Yes.
Trustee Mosley.
Yes.
Trustee Brown.
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Motion passed. Number 5.
Thank you. This item does not require approval from the board, but I wanted to submit it to you for your information, your ratification. We received a letter and a phone call from Homewood Disposal, the village's waste hauler. Per the contract that the village has with Homewood Disposal, which was renewed automatically last year. I reviewed the contract. It looks like since the village entered into agreement with Homewood Disposal, there's been a clause at the end of the contract that says the contract will auto-renew for 5 more years if the village doesn't opt out within 180 days of the expiration of the contract. That's an issue that we will revisit next spring as we take a look at as we go through and take a look at the contracts. The mayor's indicated she's going to look at that particular clause in the contract, but as a part of the contract that is currently in place, it states that July 1st of every year, their Homewood Disposal, the rate will increase by equivalent to what CPI is, with a floor of 2% and a ceiling of 6%. This year we got lucky, CPI is at 2.4%, which effectively means the cost per it's a 58 cents per unit for residential unit increase per month on the waste hauling. So again, there's no approval needed here tonight because the contract is in place and it's an automatic increase every year on July 1st per the contract. I want to make the board aware of it because I'm sure you will get some calls or questions about that. Do you have any questions about that?
Yes. This contract should become an RFP. We've had it for almost 20 years. It's never going to RFP. And the board last year should have taken action. Because we should have asked them to go to RFP, or at least told them that we're thinking about going to RFP and we could have possibly negotiated a better rate. Not taking any action for 20 years, we've allowed this contract to increase every single year. So, what I'd like to see is a short-term contract, and I'd like to see it for RFP on Edward.
I don't disagree with you there, Trustee Denna. I was actually kind of surprised to find out, so when I first reviewed the contract, it had a 2023 or 2024, I don't remember off the top of my head, I think it was 2024 expiration.
Correct.
I didn't see, an addendum initially that it had been, that it had come to the board for approval, that it had gone out to bid, and then I saw, actually, as I was on the phone with the attorney complaining about this, I had read the fine print that said it will automatically renew every 5 years, with or without board approval, unless the city proactively opts out of it within 180 days. But I don't disagree with your assessment that the village certainly, with better practice and The next item is the approval
Well,
of,
hang on one second, I'm so sorry. Sorry. So if it automatically renew, yeah, I see this, June 2024. So at this time, the agreement will automatically renew for another 5, so that's it? I mean, we can't do anything about it.
it's one of the things we're going to review with our new attorneys to see if there is an avenue to reopen this, to re-explore it, because it did just renew for 5 more years. At this time, we haven't gotten into it yet because I just found out about this the other day when I got this letter, and it's something that the mayor and I discussed, bringing to the attorneys, but, to look into the possibility, do we have any recourse, can we open this up somehow and start the process over?
Yeah, because the cutoff is at least 180 days prior to the end date. We're at a year. We're at 2025.
The next item is the quote from Freeform Traffic Control Systems. This comes from the Public Works Department. This is pretty standard. It's a quote from this vendor to repaint the markings associated with the railroad crossing right here at State and Main. This is something the village is required to do from time to time in order to, from the Department of Transportation, in order to keep our status as a quiet zone for the trains. So in order for the trains to be prohibited from blowing the horn when they come through town, we have to make sure that the markings and the painting and all of that is maintained. It's about that time to do it, and so the Public Works Department has submitted this proposal for $7,300 to redo that work, so that we can continue not having to hear the trains when they come through town. Unless you're in this building, then you feel fire in the building. But any questions about that?
Joe, what do you, can you offer an explanation, Joe?
We set inspection every year, and for the best inspection, these markings have to be up to their specs, and right now they are not. So, the former administrator received the inspection, passed it down to me, and I'm taking care of percentages, one of those that need to be taken care of. Other ones were signs and stuff that need to be upgraded, but we took care of those, and some of the last things we gotta take care of.
Is this the only company that does this?
This is, to my understanding, one of the only companies, well, the company that I know of, that was recommended to the county. The contract would have to be quote unquote certified to be able to put markings that close to the railroad tracks. You can't just hire them to do that apparently. So I just found the recommendation and reached out to them.
Have we done business with them previously?
I believe they did it last time as well.
No further questions. Can I have a motion for approval of performing traffic system?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
No further questions. Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Mosley,
Yes.
Trustee Williams,
Aye.
Trustee Taylor,
Yes.
Trustee Rowe, Trustee Brown,
Yes.
Trustee Hadnot.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you, and one quick note before I go to the final item, I did just say what it says, I was sitting here. In response to apparently a number of complaints from residents about the lighting in this particular room, Public Works Director and his team have replaced all of the light bulbs with, light bulbs that are 2 times brighter than what we had in here, so hopefully it's helped keep everybody awake this evening. I want to make sure you know that, as I'm sitting here staring at them. The final item on the agenda tonight is a matter that brought to me from Trustee Williams. It's my understanding that the Lions Club hosts a car show and rip fest every year, utilizing the space at the south end of Glenwood Plaza. In the past, the village has provided a couple of very small things from Public Works, trash receptacles, use of or access to a truck to dump the trash bags when they're done, and leave more important toilet sink. So, Trustee Williams requested those things again on behalf of the Lions Club for this year. So I wanted to bring it all for your approval. If approved, I will work with Public Works and Trustee Williams to make sure the appropriate things get out there. And Trustee Williams did tell me that no additional work for the village will be required as part of this event. The Lions clean up after themselves, and I mentioned to him being a member of the Calumet City Lions Club myself, I would be happy to be there on hand to help out with whatever Glenwood Lions Club needs as a part of this event too, including up to and including throwing out trash. So we need you to help us with the We can do that too. So that's the matter that's before you. It's just an approval of the very simple request from the Glenwood Lions Club to provide those couple of data followers, provide those couple of items for them. And with that, I conclude my report.
I have a question real quick. The ribbon cutting that's on August 25th, where is that?
It's at the levy site itself. We have not chosen a spot for where the ribbon is going to go. Representatives from the MWRD is going to come out here. We have not selected a date yet. She said probably within the next couple of weeks, tour the site, take a look at where the best spot would be, because they will provide a podium for speakers. They will prefer a podium for the county officials to speak, for the mayor to speak, any of our state legislators that decide to come. And they will provide stanchions for the ribbon, big scissors, all of it. The only thing that the village would be asked to provide, if we wanted it, would be a tent for the area in case of it.
Question, to the request for the Lions Club for the River Fest event. I thought this was already on the agenda back in April and already. Any reason for the revisit?
I was going to say, I was not aware that it was already approved. Trustee Williams and I were having a conversation as it relates to car shows earlier this week, and he informed me about the Lions Club event, and that he informed me that he was making up the flyers for it, presented me with a copy of the letter that had been submitted in the past. I didn't realize that it had been submitted, so I was trying to get ahead of it so that we had it locked in and didn't have to worry about it.
Thank you.
And thank you for that, Trustee Wall. I was gonna ask if we need a previously approved. Thank you.
It's been approved twice. It's a good thing.
We just spoke about the location, and we weren't quite sure. We said we'll be closer to July before we make that decision, but luckily you were
The site.
Yeah, the site, right? And so we were discussing, and at that time, I was not aware of the fact that you had already decided, and I was showing him both of the sites that we had. We was going over that, and then that's when he informed me that you had already made that decision, and we got the site that we really wanted for this year, and so we put the other one up for next year.
No problem. No problem. That everyone is now informed. Thank you for that.
You're more than welcome.
Any new business?
I have a couple of questions.
New business?
So here was my question about new business versus old business. I was asking JR that too. Is new business under you because we haven't discussed it with you because it's a new board, or is new business that we've never discussed it before? I mean, think about it. New business is anything new to you, right?
For the sake of the agenda, Trustee Brown, new business is any business that hasn't been previously discussed with the board.
I'm being funny. In how many years? Okay, so I'm going to ask you, what's the progress of Wingstop and Jet Pizza? That's been discussed before, but it hasn't been discussed with you.
No.
That is new. It is new. I mean, if I wanna ask, like, what's the progress of something, even though it's been asked 3 months prior, 6 months, you all get up and do the same thing. I mean, the residents ask, well, we should be able to ask, right?
Absolutely, and I don't have any current update as of this evening.
Wonderful. Okay, the golf course report, was that considered the Toro report? Or because we have a police report, we have, Public Works, and everybody else, but not a golf course report.
You had the golf course report, what you gonna answer? The golf report was the emergency. It was the emergency. The department heads are provided an opportunity to provide any topics of urgent and or need to bring to the board attention. And through your reports this evening, Village Administrator Patton, JR, he provided the department heads reports. So for the golf course, you had the emergency total.
Okay. With the board, can the board get copied when the committees start getting up and running? Can the board please get a copy of those dates of the committee meetings? Previously, we did not get the dates. We didn't know when they were until we missed them.
I do believe that Trustee Mosley sent out an email to all of the board regarding some directions to get that back in order for us to have a calendar to submit. So if you all can respond to Trustee Mosley, that would be greatly appreciated. And yes to your question.
Okay. One more thing. The ARPA funds.
What's the question?
What's happening with the ARPA funds now? If I'm not mistaken, they had to have been allocated last year to be used this year? Or
They have to be used by December 2026. And the board approved how those expenditures will be, and so there's no new update regarding.
Did we approve that?
Yes,
No?
Well, the blink is in there.
It was approved in December.
We went to a county meeting and we had various recommendations on how we thought that the rest of them should be used. When we went back and asked Mayor Gardner, we did not solidify because we all had, well, not all of us, but some of us had different allocations on what we thought the ARPA funds should be used for. We had a county meeting, not too many people showed up. He went back to the original form. I remember asking, are we going to use $100,000 for holiday decorations? He said it's still up for consideration. We did not vote as a board that each one of those things that was recommended, that that's what we were going to use.
Jessica, can you just provide the board minutes to the board from the December meeting?
I will find that.
I have them already. I have them in print. I'll go back and look myself for the. We all have it.
Yeah, because one of the other triggers and why I believe it was approved was we had to have them designated by the end of December of 2024.
Yeah.
As far as being able to spend it through 2026. So I'm almost positive, but not having the board minutes in front of me, I can't tell you.
I can tell you for sure, we did not approve all of those ARPA funds. I know we did. But we can go back and look at it. No problem.
It's concerning if you did, because then those funds won't be able to be used.
Because it had to be approved by December 30th.
I understand what you're saying, that they had to be approved by December 2024 or whatever. We did not. We did not approve every single item that we allocated. That's why I'm asking about it today. If we approved it, there would be no point of me asking.
Look it up now. I don't know it.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question in between while he's researching? Where are we with the preparation of the budget for 2026?
We're in the process that we received it all of the budgeted items from the department head, and Jason and I are scheduled to meet tomorrow at 1, and after we review it, that will be December
So you need basically time to, with the
We
department.
need to look at what was submitted and analyze it, and once we look at it and analyze it, we might need some clarifying, might need some clarifications. We need to compare, do an analysis from, current, the 2025 budget to see where we at, so we might have to make some adjustments, in keeping with having to have a balanced budget.
And the reason why I said that because of the date.
Yes, no, trustee Rose, at that point, it is our intention to have it on the agenda by July 17th. And we will, that is an assurance that we will have the budget, approved far ahead of what we've done. So it won't be September, October, November, or December.
Okay, according to the board meetings of December 10th, 2024, there was a discussion regarding $80,000 in funds for beautification to be divided between all 4 subdivisions. It was trustee Taylor, thank everyone for their suggestions. Trustee Rose just wanted to hear raw thoughts from the residents. Trustee Lynch asked about the park district. There was a vote. No, there wasn't. You're right, there was a vote. There was a motion to adjourn, but there was no vote to approve the funds. So what do we do now? Pardon? There was no vote to approve the funds. I can check the next meeting and see if you guys did.
I mean, we approved the senior building, we approved part of them, but we did not approve the rest of the $600 and whatever thousand dollars that we had left. We did not do that.
Because the Blakey Center was a part of that money.
Matter of fact, I'm getting the last part done now, with the automatic doors.
But my point is, all the bulk of the money, we approved the Blakey Center. We didn't approve the holiday decorations. We didn't approve my suggestion about the HOAs, whatever did in part, that wasn't approved. We didn't approve, I recommended $30,000 going to anti-violence or anti-gun violence. That wasn't approved.
That wasn't on the list that was.
So there was no.
We had no specific allocation.
That's what I'm saying. We did not finalize a specific allocation in what.
There was discussion to come back to that.
Yes.
That we were told at that time there was more time, we could take more time to come back to this, to make those specific allocations.
But there should be a meeting on the website for December the 17th, but there's no minutes of that on the website. So I don't know what would have happened. Maybe you guys approved it December 17th, but you did not.
I want you to hear them.
We need to research this because the Blakey Center was a part of it. And so how.
And you spent the money, and we spent that money on those allocations, and let me just say this, trustee Brown, we will look into it. However, a report was due and to allocate those funds by December 31st, 2024. And so it was approved, whether with the board's permission or not, or otherwise you have to pay those funds. All the funds that you spent, you will have to pay those funds back. So Justin and I will double check and look at that, but you have spent the funds and that it was a part of your discussion when you were approving the levy and those amounts were.
Then the ARPA funds were not told to us like that. If all $681,000 that was left was approved, this board did not say yes to that, yes to that. Now, if they were approved on the side or something like that, that's something different. But yeah, we spent part of the money, but we did not spend all of the money and approve all of the money to be spent, regardless if it was spent or not.
Well, the one plus whatever whatever $1 million that the village received, we had fiducial responsibility to record those funds by December 31st, 2024, and how those funds were paid. And so for the sake of time, as Jensen and I are meeting on tomorrow and looking at because it will not be in the 2026 budget, it will be a separate item. We can go back and look at that and we can provide the further clarification with regards to that to ensure that we don't have to pay the $1 million back. I'm thinking that covered new business and old business. Open to the public for any questions that the board may have. You have 3 minutes. The clerk will time you and let you know when you have a minute. Okay.
My main thing is
Okay.
that didn't go against my time.
Okay.
My concern is that, in all due respect about all the questions that's come up currently today and the previous meetings, I'm just wondering, I'm sitting back and maybe like some of the other residents thinking, none of these questions were brought up before you took office, and how come they were not resolved before you took office? And why does it make it seem to me, maybe some other people, that you haven't even gotten warm the seat yet? And that it's like being bombarded. These same questions could have been clarified, but it makes me feel like the previous administration and everybody is working under their control. Because if not, then those questions should have been resolved before. Period. They should have been resolved. They shouldn't be bombarding you. And I'm not saying that she's not asking the right questions. I'm just saying they're not being asked at the right time. They should have been asking prior to this to get all those questions answered then. You know, they have plenty of time to do that. That's all.
Thank you for the question, but I accepted it, and so I own it, and I welcome the questions to move us forward. Thank you for the question. No further public comments? Have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you everyone for coming out. Thank you for your patience, and again, we apologize. Yes. Clerk call.
Trustee Mosley, Trustee Brown, Trustee Williams, Trustee Hannah, Trustee Rowe, and Trustee Taylor.
Yes. Thanks again.